Okay, I'd like to call to order the Westerly Public Schools School Building Subcommittee meeting for Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. The time is 6 o'clock. Members present are Cindy Kirchhoff, Kristen Federico, Chris Duhamel, Mike Ober, Chris Lund, Dr. Mark Garceau, Audrey Fobert, Giuseppe Giacarelli, and myself, Justin Hopkins. We also have our consultants joining us today. Deb Reading from Downs, Randall Luther from TSKP, and Ashley Prester from DBVW. First order of business is approval of the meeting minutes from our October 30th special meeting. You should have all received copies of those minutes. And if there are no modifications to them, we'll entertain a motion to approve. So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Also missed Dan Lathrop in roll call, so we will recognize him now. Right, you're recognized. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comment. There are no members of the public that are with us this evening, so we will go to approval of invoices. So in the packet that was emailed to us from Downs, we'll go through. We have a ton of invoices. So we'll start right at the top. Collier's Project Leaders invoice number 995398 for commissioning services at State Street Elementary School through October 31st, 2024, and the total amount of $2,135, which equals 20% of their contract. So the way this is going to go, if anybody has any questions after I read them, feel free to bring it up to ask Deb. If there are no questions, please say so moved. And okay, second. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. Next invoice is application for payment number 4 for tower construction for Dunn's Corner Elementary School and Springbrook Elementary School through October 31st, 2024 in the amount of $687,885.28, representing a total bill to date of $4,840,535.47, or 31% of the total contract, which is 29% of the contract for Dunn's Corners and 35% of the contract for Springbrook. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any questions for Deb? By the time we are looking at these, or Ashley, by the time we're looking at these have already made their way through.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Hearing no questions, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Next item, O&G Industries, application for payment number 1, long-awaited application for payment number 1 for State Street School through September 30th, 2024, in the amount of $379,618.16, which represents 1.5% of the total contract. So moved. Okay. Discussion. I mentioned this to the team. I think we need to get up to speed.
Absolutely. And they've had one problem after another. O&G, I sympathize, but I did talk to their project manager yesterday and told them they've got to get up to speed in October and November for our next meeting in December. So we get them up.
You remind us what O&G is?
O&G is the general contractor for State Street.
Yeah, okay.
One of the largest contractors of school construction in Southern New England.
Great.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Next invoice is for DBVW invoice number 2318-17 for professional services for Dunn's Corners and Springbrook Elementary Schools through October 2024 in the amount of $74,503.88, representing 82% of the total contract. So second. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Next invoice, TSKP invoice number 230601-15 for professional services for State Street School through October 2024 in the amount of $13,249.41, representing 80% of the total contract.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Prime Consulting Testing and Inspection Services for all three elementary schools through October 31st, 2024, in the total amount of $12,516.24. This is an aggregate of invoice number 23158 for State Street Elementary School in the amount of $4,396.72. Invoice number 23159 for Springbrook Elementary School in the amount of $952.46. And invoice number 23160 for Dunn's Corner Elementary School in the amount of $7,167.06.
So moved. Second.
Okay. And this is for our testing and inspection services, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Downs Construction Company invoices number 14 for OPM services through September 2024 in the total amount of $27,715. In aggregate, Dunn's Corner Elementary School in the amount of $7,160. Springbrook Elementary School, $7,160, and State Street Elementary School in the amount of $13,395, representing 89% of the total OPM contract for Dunn's and Springbrook and 45% of the OPM contract for State Street Elementary School.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. I don't know what that was, but we might have just set a record for the fastest and most amount of money spent in a subcommittee meeting. Okay. Next item on the agenda, owner's project manager / architect update.
Absolutely. And before we move on to our architects here, who talked about their projects, let me update everybody on our budgets, our financial status. Not much has happened since the last one, but I'll just remind everyone where we're at right now with contingencies. We still have a contingency of $1,507,000 for State Street, $322,282 for Dunn's Corner, and $171,071 for Springbrook. Those three contingency amounts and the surplus, we'll call it a global contingency that we had from the delta of the bids versus our funding, that totals $2,848,188. It's just under $3 million. We're still doing well. I'll hand it over. You guys want to toss a coin? Who wants to go first?
I'm pretty sure. Go ahead.
So we're still playing in the dirt in State Street.
Yes. The good news is Keller is all done.
Still
Oh,
not.
sorry.
So,
I got you to go home then.
yeah. I can go to the next slide. So, just in terms of schedule, we continue to track on schedule. Obviously, we signed the contract way back when. They mobilized, they've been working in earnest for some time now, only now they're billing, but they certainly have been working. We're still targeting the building finishing in the summer of 26 or April 26, and then finishing up in the fall. They are actually ahead of schedule, interestingly enough, despite their kind of slow getting out of the ground. As Deb said, they finished with the ground improvements. And if you go to the next slide, I'll have some photographs to kind of show and just orienting everybody. I mean, this is the construction area. That's where the construction is. And over here. And so you go to the next slide. So this is a picture taken from here, looking back, and you can see the auger that they use. They go down about 10 feet or so. It's a delegated design, so the ground improvement contractor has a geotechnical consultant on their team. The engineer gives, our design engineer, construction engineer gives them the criteria they need to meet. They come up with a layout plan for where all these piers are gonna go. And the depth that they need to be. And so the process is they go in, they auger down, the auger is about what, 30 inch?
30 inch.
Yeah, 30 inch goes down pretty quickly. If you go to the next slide.
That's,
Yeah, we feel it.
That's right. So here's a picture closer up, looking, and you can kind of see the cut. The school is just on the other side of this fence, and that's what we're calling subgrade. That's basically the elevation of the foundations that are going in. So we knew the site was bad everywhere. And the initial, back in SD, the plan was to take out all the bad material that we need to go down 10 feet and then bring it back up. So instead, the design was to just go down to bottom footing elevation, get a nice clean pad, that then the ground improvement company could come in and they can put all their piles and we'll sit on those piles and then we'll go up from there. So that's what you're seeing here is basically the cut that is across the whole site now. And for the next one. And so here you can see kind of the full operation. So what happens, the auger digs a hole, and then this thing right here comes and fills it with the aggregate. They back up with a truck, they dump it in, and they fill it. So it basically becomes a column in the ground that's made up of crushed stone. So it's almost like piles. So the building is sitting on all these stone piers that are set in the ground, and there's a lot of them. It's
670.
yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
Your students built every one of those.
yeah, but they also think that is the coolest thing ever.
It is pretty cool. So they did hit a fair amount of rock here and there. Anything, say maybe a foot or smaller in diameter, the auger just pulls it right out. If it's bigger, and they hit it and it doesn't just they got to go down and kind of dig it out. So we are looking at a change order that we've been tracking. We'll have that for the next building committee meeting. That work is done. It's not going to be a crazy amount of money, but it's always unfortunate to have change orders. Although, and you probably heard this from Ashley, but once you're getting out, the ground is one of your biggest risks. Once you get out of the ground, that's a huge milestone that's behind you, and that risk is behind you. And then they become smaller. Then other things will bite you later on, but the ground is a big one. And so we're pretty much out of the ground right now in terms of the major risk. There's going to be a little bit more site work in the second phase when we tear down the existing building. But in that case, it's mostly a fill operation. We're not doing a lot of excavating other than topsoil and things, so that the risk to the project is much smaller. And I think that was the last slide. Is there another one? Yeah, that was the last slide. So so far so good. We're pleased with how ONG is working, other than their difficulty getting their project management software to get the applications out. It's just inexplicable to me, but
Right.
I know they're frustrated, we're frustrated. But if they want to work for free, I guess that's fine. Any questions? Yes.
The back of the property where the wetlands, are we good there?
Yeah, I mean, they put up silt fencing and then a security fence across the whole back of the site. And they'll monitor that on a regular basis, especially after rainstorms, although we haven't had rain in a long time. Make sure that it's intact at all times. Anything else?
It's too bad we didn't do wetlands flagging, and this,
Exactly.
we have been in a severe drought, but we still are historically high for our rainfall for the year, which tells you everything you need to know about how wet the spring and sort of the summer was, which is when we were.
Everything was wet.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Quick follow-up, especially for Audrey, for Kristen. They're expecting to have the crane on site at the beginning of January and start springing steel. So it really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there going to be like a, are we gonna set aside
Yeah,
a talking date?
Talking about ceremony?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that next time. So that's-
Definitely schedule that.
Audrey, have you done anything with like the kids? Remember we were gonna have like the kids, the like fourth graders, and you like go out there and, I don't
I
know what.
haven't done anything yet. I know Miss Evans said she's second class. Put it back there.
So one of the things we've done a lot, and we get to talk to ONG, I'm sure they probably cooperate. Then we get a piece of steel set out there a little bit early on the other side of the fence, and then everyone, all the kids can come out and sign that piece of
That
steel.
would be awesome.
And then they can swing that up and they can all see their names up on that piece of steel.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, especially for the kids who,
Yeah.
aren't gonna get to
Right.
enjoy the building, just the. Sure, boy.
There's somewhere.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, I'm gonna sneak out.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Randall.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randall.
All right, I don't have a ton of stuff, but we do have some, we do have a change order to go through, but, as Deb already reported, the percentage is complete. We're at 29%, 35%. They have slowed down, this month compared to past months. You'll see that in the lower requisition. We think it's just, it's just kind of taking the breather and then figuring out exactly how we need to keep going. We did get a revised construction schedule, finally, included the critical path, and they are maintaining the August 22nd completion date for both buildings. So we're probably, I still have to finish my review on it. We'll probably be, not approving it, but issuing it as for the record. And then I'll continue getting updates from them on that. At Dunn's Corner, you can see that, I wasn't here in October, so this is an update since the start of school. Obviously the steel is up, the stud framing is up on Dunn's Corner. The window openings are boxed in and everything. The upper right photo, you can see all the rock that we've encountered on that site. We'll discuss more about that in a little bit. The lower left, they've been doing a lot of curbing. They have a lot of the curb in right now. This is up the east side of the site. And in the bottom right is the stormwater retention system. Any of the stormwater system in the street and the roads all goes down to the system at the back of the field at the back of the school.
And that's fully filled in. That's fully filled in.
If it's fully filled in, yeah, they need to, I haven't been there in 2 weeks. I'll be there tomorrow.
I was there
so,
yesterday, so
there you go.
huge practice.
They still have to put in the lines that connect it to the road. So this is a major milestone for us on this, to get it done. The slabs were also cast in the main part of the school. Things that we're seeing coming up, we're gonna see the exterior sheathing. They're gonna start enclosing the building for winter. They don't- They have already, yeah, okay.
It looks nice.
They aren't planning on doing the brick until spring because of the lead time of the brick. So they'll be doing that in March. So they're gonna be, they'll be getting windows sometime in the near future. They're gonna be doing roofing soon. And then we're starting to have, we've been having conversations for weeks about working on during the holidays, inside the building, if they need to get some additional painting done, things like that. So we're gonna try to get a schedule from them in the near future so the principals can prep the staff for any possible, work that they're gonna do over the week and a half of, Christmas break. At Springbrook, the 2-story small group meeting room section is in. They're casting the slab for the ground floor tomorrow morning on that. And they removed the media center exterior wall. What we're gonna have our new pitched roof area coming in. There's gonna be a beam here in the middle, and that's gonna have new masonry put back. But we had to put the beam in to open up the media center. So this is all the salvage masonry. It came out really well. So we're gonna have plenty to be able to fill in that area. So upcoming work for that will be the steel for the media center area, the masonry wall restoration, so we can get that enclosed, slab pours, and again, work over the holidays. One thing I do want to add in here, I did mention it in Dunn's. Here, the sprinkler work is basically complete until summer. when they get the water line in and the fire pumps in. Dunn's Corner, they're now starting to work second shift, and they'll be working second shift for the next few months while they get the work in above ceiling. So I'd like to present to you about change order 5.
Can I just back up?
Yeah.
The second shift work, is, how's that working operationally with the district? Does somebody need to be,
Somebody needs to be there, but they're already there. So we're not we're not putting any additional staff in the school.
so we already have,
It's second shift until like 11 o'clock,
Right, all
so.
coordinated with Mark, and he's been working out very well.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question too? The work, you talked about the work in the building over the holidays and
Mhm.
painting. Are you talking about classrooms?
Hopefully not. I believe all the classrooms were painted. We're talking about like, the bathrooms at Springbrook weren't painted, maybe some storage closets, things like that. We need to find out what's practical because obviously you gotta move stuff in order to paint.
That's what I was saying.
So we need to get that plan of action from them. We've been pushing them for a few weeks now to get us a sub schedule for the holidays.
Yeah.
Not just Christmas that's coming up, but also February and April. Because the more we can do on those holidays, the less cramped the summer will be, because the second summer is always going to be the critical one. So change order 5, have some items on here. The first item is the reformed sidewalks. This is specifically for the walk in the gymnasium. The walk out of the gym door did not provide the handicap landing outside the door. We caught that the day after, unfortunately, they poured. So there's some work to fix the sidewalk and reconfigure that. Consequently, the next change order 31R2 is for this area. There was a couple other doors. They weren't planning on doing it, so we had to get them to change the pitch of all the sidewalks and everything with that. And then the secondary duct bank, what you see in the bottom left is the electric coming from the transformer towards the building. We showed the conduit staying kind of shallow and going into the building in several locations. The way the contractor wants to feed his electrical gear, he wants to be able to come in this kind of tower or column of conduits into the building and then into the gear directly that way. So it's a change in scope of work. Because of what we're doing there, we're adding some waterproofing to make sure that it's a watertight installation. So that change order was listed as 32R. Any questions on these 3 before we continue?
So for that first one, they poured
I'm going to, our drawings, my team, our drawings had some elevations that didn't indicate the second part of the landing. So they assumed it was a straight slope, not a landing.
That was
So,
gonna say, it sounds
yeah.
like an error, but it's not really.
well, I would say it's an error on my civil engineer's drawings, yes. So, I can address that in a little bit, so. For the second group of changes here, the fire hydrant, we had added a fire hydrant at Dunn's Corner. That wasn't shown on the bid drawings. They started putting in the work for the hydrant, and then the fire department said they don't need it anymore. So unfortunately, we would have owned the change order regardless because we added it in. But the only work that they did was put in an elbow and a couple pieces of concrete, so that's why it's only $900. So in the future, you could put one there if you wanted to. The fire department didn't want to because they get charged for every fire hydrant they have in the town.
Yeah.
So
the town charges the fire department, so.
yeah, and they determined that they didn't need one over here. So
It's amazing when it's that good, negotiable it is.
bottom left is the Springbrook fire rated door and frame. We're finding out, and we've discussed this with Mark McKinnon. This water fire room, based on the equipment that's being submitted, is not large enough. And the reason we picked this wall location was to maintain the sound system in here, and there's a gas pipe right here. What we're doing right now, we have a proposal to eliminate that wall to give them more room, make these doors fire rated. And they're gonna still have access to the sound system, but it'll be going into the fire pump room. But they just needed more room to work around and service all the equipment that was in there. So that's a change order. And then on the upper right, or upper left rather, at Springbrook where we removed the wall, there's a column in this corner that we thought was in one spot according to the drawings. It turns out they put it in a different spot. So it was a column that we thought was related to the turned 45-degree angle portion of the media center. It was actually part of the classroom wing. So we're having to have the steel supplier engineer the different connection detail for that and provide a little bit extra steel. So that was a small discovery that we had. Here's the rock. Where do I begin on this? I think I'm going to begin by saying your architect is for scale compared to the size of some of these rocks that we pulled out. We wound up encountering about 320 cubic yards of rock. The excavation of the whole area, the amount of rock was about 20% of that entire excavation for the stormwater system,
Right.
just the amount of boulders.
Just for behind the building, that's not what we already took out in the front, right?
Correct. So what I'm noting here is that this is we have a unit price that was submitted in the bids, the $375 a cubic yard to remove rock. So that times the 320, we've done some negotiation. And we've also, I wanted to make note that so far this project has taken care of $204,000 worth of rock and soil through base drawing allowances. So we had accommodations for a lot of this rock. It's exceeded anything that we could have possibly anticipated. So look, I mean, we wouldn't have expected 20% of that excavation to be boulders, not based on the geotech report that we received.
And for just real quick, I'm going to interrupt
Oh,
you.
that's fine.
Actually, just for comparison purposes, that 204 that you actually diverted from this,
Yeah,
that's about where we think the number's gonna come in for State Street. And that's complete right now for inside and outside footprint. There may be some more as we trench for utilities, but for the entire footprint of that new building, it's actually much less than
Less.
what we've come across. And there's a lot of rock out there as well.
so the 204 plus the 17 that you approved in change order 3 was for all of the rock we encountered in the front of the building and within the footprint of the addition. So the amount of this change order is over 93,000. It was submitted at 154. We got it down through negotiation and through application of the remainder of our allowances.
How much of that was for the stormwater treatment area versus the footprint of the building?
This current change order 37 is all for the stormwater. So the 204 was for the road, the utilities, all the lighting that went on the front and the addition in the front. I do want to point out, we've
Can
had,
I just get a whole bunch of ARPA money about stormwater treatment systems?
because this is a salt pond, wetlands, in adjacency, that's why we had the Rhode Island DEM on this site. So that's why we had to do the stormwater management the way we're doing now, as opposed to open retention ponds.
I should do a septic system right around.
Yeah, no, well, and unfortunately, that's what I want to point out to you guys, is we still have the septic to do.
Should the geothermal or whatever people have been able to tell you this?
We had,
Or exactly how they do their thing.
you could actually dig pits and dig borings, and you could be in the middle of a huge amount of rocks and just not hit any when you do it, because you're pretty much just, drilling that one little area. They did indicate that there was some boulders on site, which is what triggered us to have the $204,000 in allowances. It's just, based on the information that we had, it's exceeded that. We did, the town and the school did review options for diverting this to other companies, other locations. Those entities weren't capable of handling bus-sized rocks. They wanted to pick and choose what they wanted to take because it was for landscaping more than anything else. So at this point, even if we had talked about maybe just pushing these off to the side of the site, we would have had to pay the contractor anyway to even move them. They had to drag this out with a bulldozer just to get it out of the hole. So the fact that, if you remember a few slides ago, them jackhammering it, that's what that $375 a square foot. That was 16 trucks at 20 yards apiece that left the site over about a week and a half.
So do we have areas on the site that we can identify that if we encounter with the septic, that we know, hey, maybe we should put this over here? Because part of your challenge has been where this was stockpiled is in the way of some other.
Exactly, like they dragged stuff out of the hole and put it right where they needed to work. And I can't say that was intentional, but I think it probably was. It forced the issue a bit of us having to process this and get it off the site. We will make it clear to them that that the septic, before they start that, has to be planned out more. The general contractor who controls the site needs to control their sub and know where they're putting this material.
Right. But the other issue is that to get a truck back there, we've got to drive over the new sidewalks. So if we find someone to come take the rock, they're gonna be driving over the new sidewalks.
I'm talking about if we have enough area on site to use around.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
If we know where we're gonna put it and you're paying somebody to pull it out of the hole to put it somewhere, you might as well tell them where to put it rather than have them put it down and then we get to pay them to pick it back up and put it somewhere else.
Oh, exactly. We can identify some of that area. My concern about it is that they're gonna wanna be working from the playground side of the site out towards the trailers and out the basketball, if I was attacking the site. So putting anything along the tree line might work, but then we'd never be able to get to it without driving over all the pipes and everything that we just put down. So it'll be very strategic how they go about that.
Do you have concern that the septic can fit for its design?
No, it can fit. We have
You
that.
have to remove rock like this, it's gonna be.
Well, the one advantage to this is that and unfortunately, it's not it hasn't materialized as a cost savings. But we originally were looking at the cut and fill and we were gonna have to lose hundreds of cubic yards of soil that was gonna go to the town site, to the old dump. And we don't have that material to go there anymore. It's just the soil is being taken up by all these rocks. So.
But if you put your leach field on those boulder field, they're gonna make you pull those boulders out and you have to bring in bank run gravel.
We have the bank run gravel. We have all the septic is all done, is completely designed. The completely done. If you remember, we approved it proprietary bid.
Yeah, these are the
Advantech system.
The Dan
So
Lightfoot-
that has all the systems. Yeah. Huh?
The Dan Lightfoot system.
Yeah. We have all the subgrades, all the gravel and everything like that already designed in. So any rock like this that we find in a hole that we dig has to come out.
Exactly, so you might get your designer on and evaluate that, just to see if they recommend a different leach field.
We
What kind of
did,
leach field they use?
I would have to get back to you on that. I know there's nine sections that go through the field, but I don't know. I'm not that up to speed on what the specific system is, other than it's a denitrification system, but that's the tanks.
Sure. They have different leach fields, different footprints.
Yeah, right now it's I thought it was the most economical one that we did, because obviously we had a budget issue, the whole time, so, but
Par that designed it?
PAR designed it, yeah. Well, actually, the OWTA, Advantex designed it, and PAR just worked with them.
No, it's they're the designers. I would have them confirm that there's no issues.
Okay.
Finding 20% boulders, it's a big issue.
And then the final one, is any other talk on the rock before I move on?
Do we have any choice?
No,
No, okay. So,
it's already done.
yeah, so the committee chairman, has asked that we estimate our potential exposure for the rest of it, and I will have those numbers to him. So,
I thought you were gonna throw me under the bus there.
nope, not at all. No, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're looking at what the potential, the remaining, exposure is. The last one is something we talked about with, Mark McKinnon. We were standing up on the roof of Springbrook, and I looked down. This is a picture from 2023. For the loading dock, asphalt area, and what you see is a lot of cracks in here, a lot of it broken up. It's actually gotten worse in the last year. We're putting about a 5-foot trench right through this for the water line to get into the building right here. And I said, why are we patching a asphalt area that is, pretty dilapidated? We're not doing any other paving work on the rest of the site, which is the reason we didn't address it. But we said, let's get a price for it and then bring it to the committee. It is optional. You could just put in the batch and leave it, but we wanted to give you guys the option at, 17,000. That works out to about $13 a square foot.
How far out is it?
It comes out to the edge of the curb line, which is like out here somewhere. Yeah, so wherever the curb connects along, that's what it comes out to.
Do we have newer dumpsters?
Well, that's part of it. We can get rid of the staging of the dumpsters.
Right, any questions?
It's used every day, it's used often, it's not.
The loading dock is used every day for food deliveries.
Yeah.
There's the kitchen's right through the door
Right.
that's there.
Right, it is in very poor shape. There's actually tripping hazards there now. It's so broken up.
And delivery trucks are like 80% of slipping walkways.
There you go.
You go.
So what I'm looking for from the committee is, I don't know if you want to do it as a separate approval on each one, or just accept them all, or minus this one if you don't want to do it, and then we can do the math on the total.
Well, it's written in our action items that has one change order,
Okay.
change order number 5.
I would make a motion to approve all the change orders.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Any questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, no.
Thank you.
So, I don't know if that puts the number, I have the amount of the change order after this. I don't know if what you reported earlier was before this.
No, before this,
Okay.
we should report was already been approved.
Okay.
Correct.
So the couple quick items on the roof. We finally did a punch list on the 31st. Garland also did their inspection. We are waiting for them to repair the items and say that everything's complete so we can back inspect. As soon as Garland issues their sign off and warranty, we will issue substantial completion. We're there. We're just waiting on Garland to be ready to say it's done. Soon as we're at that point, we'll issue substantial completion, so the warranty will start. The back of the cupola still needs to have a louver put in. That's on back order right now, so they're working on that. They still have to paint the trim and the louvers around on the front of the cupola. And then we're adding, we had in the base bid snow protection above all the doors, so we don't get sliding snow off the roof. There's some things that they have to do on the building, and we're hoping they'll do that in the next few weeks. Because the time's ticking now that we've done the punch list. And one last thing on that is We've had, zero change orders on the roof, work. We haven't had to process anything. When we were going up to the roof, I think it was someone, Eric from Downs saw this, about, early October. The gap between the existing masonry and the metalwork, this has existed the way it is for a while now. This is basically an open gap into the cavity. Mark does have work on his new capital plan to do sealant and repair work. But since we have a contractor here that's capable of doing masonry and sealant, we wanted to give you guys the option of, we've just sent out a proposal request for this work to get a cost in. I didn't know if this committee would want to entertain, a not to exceed number so that we could get this work, done.
Which contractor did this go to?
This would go to commercial, roofing. So it's not part of the bond. This is part of the roof project. The other option is that we defer this work. It's on the list. We finish closing out the roof work, and then that, whatever money's left gets, processed back
The
in.
longer you wait, the more chance of.
Yeah, there is an air barrier behind this, but we don't know the condition of it, so it is allowing water to get into the cavity, but it has a way to get out.
What you got, the cost to address that?
I was gonna recommend a not to exceed of 25,000. Thinking around that, because they'll need a lift to get out there to do the work on the upper classroom area. So this would be all the flat areas, not the pitched areas.
What's our contingency?
I don't know what we haven't, it was the total cost of the contract was about $1.2 million.
Right.
And 5% of that would be about, I'm failing at math here, 60,000. So, yeah.
We should be able to cover that.
Does it make sense though to vote on a not to exceed while we're issuing an RFP? That's public information.
No, this would be a proposal request to the specific contract.
To the contract.
It's not like an RFP, like you're going out soliciting.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, though. We don't want to tell him what we can't spend, so then he's gonna make his price match what we have. We will still vet it out, and if it seems excessive, if you say no, we'll do it at a later time. So, I didn't know,
This is in Springbrook where we've had all the water problems.
yes. The water, we feel the water is coming through different areas, where we had the moisture, concerns that we took care of last summer. So that was the roof and then the slabs, which we've addressed in most of the areas.
Well, one way or another, we won't button that up.
Yeah.
So,
It sounds like we have a funding mechanism that is in place that is there because of a project that's already ostensibly complete or substantially complete. I think this is an excellent use of that, the remaining funds within that project.
Yeah, the reason I don't have the number, I just don't have the number yet because we didn't have time, but I don't want to wait till the December meeting because it might be too cold to do the work.
Yeah.
At that point. So that's why I was hoping that we at least get an idea of scope from you guys.
Yeah, and it should be a hard number rather, just because if it's time and materials, we have no way of monitoring, the people that are out there.
Correct.
It's not like we have.
No, we're not doing T&M. We want a hard, this is what it costs to do this work. And that way we can look at the unit price and the labor rates and everything.
I'll move, not to exceed the number 25,000.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay.
That's all I have.
That's.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else, Deb, that you can think of regarding OCAM or architect update?
The only other question that I got from a couple, I just came to these conferences. Is there an idea of how long that back work will be going on with the rocks? And I know after this discussion, I know rocks might be a little bit of an issue, but there was just a discussion it's really loud when every.
When they were jackhammering it, it was very loud for
Yeah.
that good week and a half.
Yeah.
Right now, we still have the septic to put in. They haven't really identified because the subcontractor hasn't told them, do they want to work? Like, if we get a mild winter, they might work right through the winter and get that thing done.
Mhm.
Or it might wait till spring, it might wait till summer. We're not sure when they're doing it yet.
Okay,
But the good thing is, though, the right answer to tell them is August, September of 25. That's when all the work is done.
but it probably won't be consistent throughout the whole year.
No. No.
No,
Yeah.
no.
That's, I think that's the,
Right, they'll pull some rock out, they'll break it up, move it, and then it might be a week or so later, they'll break it up again, move it.
We are optimistic, but let me, I wish I was still standing, I'm sorry.
no,
We are optimistic that some of the septic tanks that are near the building are within the zone of the original construction. Therefore, there wouldn't be these gigantic boulders in that area. We're optimistic, we're not guaranteed though. Yep.
That's jackhammering, more vibrating. But it's all gonna be worth it. That's what I say all the time, every time someone says things. It's all gonna be worth it.
And Justin, the only other item I was going to bring up was, a meeting signing ceremony. But we can talk about that in the dates. I'll follow up with ONG,
Okay,
get some information from them, I'll start to set a date. I'm sure it would be, it's usually towards the end of the erection of the steel, so probably wouldn't be until February.
so we're gonna be swinging steel starting in January, yeah.
It's
Okay,
usually how it turns out.
You never know.
You never know.
It could be 70. Right.
okay. All right, any other questions for Deb or Ashley? Item number 7, capital projects update. I know Mark isn't here, but I will mention that, and Cindy, thank you for covering the school committee meeting last week. The recommendation from the building subcommittee, I believe, was approved. Yes, okay. Thank you, guys. So that initiates this stage 2 effort to try and get capital projects encumbered within a stage 2 application for submission February 15th. The one thing that I mentioned, I had a conversation with the current chair of the school committee in advance of that meeting, and also discussed the question. I think I brought this up at other building subcommittee meetings, but we have a specific charter to deal with the elementary schools. I have allowed, as chair, I've allowed the breadth of these other capital projects to be under our umbrella while we're here in an ad hoc capacity. However, if we are setting up a series of capital improvements that would extend beyond our current projects, I think there needs to be the opportunity for the school committee to decide whether or not to expand our charter, to make a permanent facilities committee, to make a separate facilities committee from our charge. And with that, there's a whole other host of questions like how many people, what are the appointments, what are the terms of each appointment? Is it indefinite? I don't know. It's my conversation with Rob was that this is, let's let the new school committee get that and introduce it to them as a decision, their choice of how we move forward. In the interim, I'm happy to have things continue to be in front of this body while we're meeting anyway. However, I do just want to make sure that that we're not running afoul of what our original charge is. But so everybody that's been kind of with me in addressing all of these things through Mark and John Pagano before that, thank you. I think it's to the benefit of the town and the school district, but I just think we need to formalize our arrangement at some point. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Any questions on that? Okay. So Deb, you'll be able to outline some of the formal steps that need to happen in order to get the stage 2 submission
Absolutely.
in place.
It's due February 15th. The next step is to go out to go an RFP, with an RFP for design team. So that's what I'm currently working on.
Okay. Item number 8, next steps. Those are the only next steps that I had. You heard a little bit about having a beam signing, a beam topping. That's something that I presume we'll hear about next meeting. For this meeting, for this month, this is going to be our only meeting. Unless you guys want to meet the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I personally don't, but.
Bring some shots.
And we will only be meeting once in December 11th. So anticipate a similar volume of invoices to review. We're trying to set these up so that, we have a little bit of a rhythm for invoices, etc. So any questions regarding our meeting schedule? Just have one more meeting, which will be December 11th for this year.
Can I add something to that? In January, we're going to be looking to do the FF&E work for the Duns and Springbrook. So we'll discuss that at the December meeting.
Okay.
That's on the next steps.
Okay. That was one of my questions. What about playscapes?
Playscapes are all set on ours. We're still going through the approval and we're still waiting on the submission of the materials. So Dr. Garso can write his letter to the Governor's Commission. We're trying.
Under penalty of firstborn. Okay. All right. Any questions to me, to the process? Hearing none. We don't have any additional public comment. So if there's nothing else for the sake of humanity, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor? Thanks.